Hello, fellow YouTubers, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. On the last episode, we had Marshall confess that he was the fake Goodman at the police station, but he didn't kill anyone. He just wanted to get the information for the SL9 incident because we also found out that his brother was one of the victims, and so that's why he's super invested in this case, and he believes that something was wrong about it. But since we proved that the murder at the police department was fake, they kind of pushed everything back over to the murder at the parking lot, and Emma all of a sudden jumped in, and we are about to find out what she jumped in for. So I think I read this last episode. Emma, because she had run away. The defense is an objection, a scientific objection, right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor! Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor! All I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please, hear me out! Mr. Edgeworth, please!
I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3.
Oh, what a nice Ed. That's a nice Edgeworth. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dart killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky Sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprints had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint.
You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker?
But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So, I ran over there and looked at it again. So, did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry. I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But, Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them... Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Oh, God, cough. Me? Oh, boy.
Time's up! Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark.
Oh, God.
Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this?
Mr. Wright! I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be...
Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day.
Yes, Your Honor. If ever I needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? I object, or there's no problem. If there's no problem, then there is a problem because Lana's going to be found guilty. So I object. As to what, we'll find out. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction.
The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright.
You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing.
Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there?
Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark.
Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright.
With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use.
The question is, what item can prove something is missing in the floor plans?
So there is something missing, and it is not what you actually, it's probably what you'd expect at this moment if you've been following along. So out of the 4 pages of evidence that we have, there's one thing that we haven't really presented yet.
What about that piece of plywood?
The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Phoenix, why are you saying this?
Explain yourself, Mr. Wright.
Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here.
So?
So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well?
Well, what? Gasp.
That's right, so long as the Blue Badger is dancing there, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot in the locker.
What?
How did you not know that? You were in the room when it happened.
So that means, just exactly what does that mean?
It means it can't be done.
What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker.
Don't look at me. I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean his blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in.
Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom.
It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice.
But how?
One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown in this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman, when he was really murdered. How long has it been since we heard this song? It's been too many episodes.
That's ridiculous. I refute you.
The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found in the locker.
So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves it occurred.
When did the first incident occur?
To surmise, the defense's claims that prior to Officer Meekin's being caught by Jake Marshall, who was disguised as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room.
The blood mark in the locker proves this.
Very well. Then tell us. When did this first incident occur? Proof must be presented.
Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that.
Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place?
Well, only one thing has really shown us times so far, and that is the ID card record. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the perpetrator would have had to have entered the room. In order to do so, an ID card was required.
An ID card? Oh, the ID card record.
Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at...
let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Ah! Ah! Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? I never figured you had nerve, boy.
Oh, my throat, I need rest.
Put off the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood.
That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer.
I would have just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room.
Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 77777777.
Talk about a looking number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Officer Goodman have entered the evidence room?
Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777. Of course they go with the number with the most syllables.
Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 777777777.
7. I think he said it 8 times.
That's 1 7 too many, Your Honor.
Yay, I got it right!
Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least, at present.
What?
Explain yourself, son.
Everyone's voice is changing. I need to stop talking.
The ID number 7777777 belongs to someone with the rank of captain or higher. Someone who was a so-called executive officer.
So you know who it is, but you're not going to tell us.
We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
But you know who it is, and you're not going to tell us. But that's ridiculous. Just how...
I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted.
An official charge?
You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates.
I'm completely losing people's voices. I need to finish this episode now.
I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive.
Lana?
Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 7777777. Don't play with me for a fool, partner. That's not what I wanted to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident.
The SL9 incident? Oh god, poor Judge. I need to hurry up and finish me.
Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor?
I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth.
2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time,
Occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana? I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law.
Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look at me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't.
I don't have to, Officer Marshall.
Why don't you answer him?
Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But, Lana! Even if it involved forging evidence.
See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Order! 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 Order!
Lana's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Judge is mad. Oh boy. So, well, we finally ended the trial. I can now finally take a break so I can stop with the stupid voices. So, on the next episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, we will be heading back over to the investigation for the final time in the game. This is the last investigation we're going to have because, well, we can't go any further than 3 days of trial. So, we go investigation, then we head to the final day of trial, and hopefully find out everything ever. So, until next time, Hopefully you enjoy. I think Liara is a little upset. Granted, I would be too, if I hadn't seen so many bloody husks. If I hadn't seen so many husks, I probably would be upset that I just saw a person of my own species be taken over by the Reapers. We've been seeing husks since we saw husks in our first mission, in the first episode of Mass Effect. I think we're a little too okay with the fact that husks exist. But yes, like I was continuing on, Marauders, which are the Turian version.